We're on time.
Well, good morning, Roy. How the devil are you, sir?
Good morning, Matthew. This is our Tuesday Chew with Matthew Dashby Hughes.
Good morning, everybody, and also with Roy Johnson.
That's me. What are we talking about today, Matthew? What are we pontificating about today?
We're going to pontificate, hopefully in an entertaining and educational way, about why it is that even when you've got stuff that is objectively life-changing, brilliant, better than the competition, and you can know all the facts and figures, you know that actually people really ought to be queuing up and ready to buy your stuff. For some reason, they just don't do it. Why is it? Why do people not form an orderly queue to buy stuff from you when your stuff's the best? That's what we're going to talk about today.
And that is an interesting subject, that, because here's the thing: if people are listening to this and don't believe that what they've got's the best, they should either change jobs or make something else, I guess.
Yeah, that's fair.
And we all have to believe it's up there. Otherwise, we're in the wrong place. Oh, look at that! Whenever I get one of these things, someone rings me. There we go.
There you go.
So why don't they buy more? Why when we start in the morning, isn't there an orderly queue of emails, social media connections for people who want to buy from us rather than sell to us, or just an orderly queue outside the door? Wanting the stuff. How can that be? Because we both work with organizations that have the best stuff and have the most life-changing stuff in many ways. Yet they still look around going, why is it such hard work to sell? And I know most people who watch this, selling is easy. They don't have a problem with that. Their order book's full, the profitability level's high, they're accelerating at a rate that they could only dream of. This is for the other people.
Absolutely. Yeah.
What would stop? If stuff is tangibly great, why is it so hard to sell? What can be the problem? And I think starting off with the word sell, that's a problem, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Because you know how I don't like the word sell.
No, absolutely. And it's because a lot of what is perceived to be sales it feels a lot like it's, you're doing something to someone. And that's what the kind of word sales kind of implies. It's like you're having one over on somebody, or you're, on some level, putting your arm up somebody's back and your other hand into their pocket to take their wallet without noticing. And that's kind of what the word sales comes packaged with, is those perceptions, unfairly, it has to be said, in a lot of areas. But, if you take it that there's kind of 3 levels of salesperson, there's the kind of pill pusher level, which is basically that transactional, one and done. I'm just after you buying something off me. That's probably what most people think of when they think of sales, which is where that word sales can sometimes have that stereotype. Second level is more the hero salesperson, who's kind of out there saying, people buy into me because I'm the one who can actually solve your problems for you. And you can build some good long-term relationships like that until there's always a better hero that's going to come along at some stage. Because if you sell purely on relationship, you'll lose it on relationship as well, somewhere along the way. But then there's also that next level, which is the guru level of selling, which is where really what you're doing is you're helping your prospect and ultimately your client to be the best version of themselves they can be, and to actually to self-discover how to be the hero in their own story. And that's where real long-term, life-changing agents of change type selling actually happens. And I think that a lot of the challenges come in somewhere in there. So we'll unpack a little bit of what I've just said over the course of the next 25 minutes or so, I would guess.
And I love that. And just describe the traits of those 3. You've got the pill pusher. What were the traits of the pill pusher?
Highly transactional, very much about the features and the perceived benefits. And I use the word perceived benefits there very, very, very carefully, because features are really a list of the statistical specifications of your product or service. And usually either you or your technical department or whatever has produced that list of features. And it's really a list of stuff about us, about our product, about our service. And then benefits is really something that either you or your marketing departments come up with, because these are the perceived things that we've come up with to say, we think that's why people might actually want to buy this, and why those features are actually a good thing, other than the fact that actually it's just something that we find very exciting. But ultimately, that list of features and benefits is quite self-serving. It's about us.
Yeah, and that's when he said perceived benefits. I made a note of perceived benefits. Perceived by who?
Yeah, right. Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. Perceived usually by us. And there's an element of arrogance in that. Now, we might get it right. We might get it right. But equally, you might get it wrong. You can't understand what really matters to somebody unless, dare I say, shocking concept, you ask them.
And you're absolutely right. I remember going into a Mercedes garage years ago, and his perceived benefits is we had this type of. I remember really getting touchy about it, and you will like our leather seats because they're virtually indestructible. Well, true, they are virtually indestructible. That's fine. But what yanked my chain is it was, I don't even know what the name was, Al Qaeda leather or something. It was plastic by any other language, but they called it leather to attract the leather people, because people like leather, and then put something there that wasn't leather, and it really just pressed all of my buttons, and and I still remember that to this day, getting really tetchy about it all. Very transactional. The perceived benefits to him that he didn't wear out, it was not the perceived benefits to me.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that was, the pill pusher type sales. I know what you want, therefore this is why you should have it. I mean, if you say it like that, it sounds arrogant.
Absolutely. And there's a Sandler rule, isn't there? People buy for their reasons, not yours. And so you've got to spend some time actually working out what their reasons might even be, without inserting your own views into this thing. So the first rule is to bloody ask.
So what was the next level? We got the pill pusher. What came after the pill pusher?
That's the hero level. The hero level is where this is a salesperson who kind of puts him or herself forward as being the one who's going to rescue you. So they sell based on relationship. Oh, my clients love me. My clients love me. They buy into me. I'm the difference that makes the difference in this. I've seen plenty of people who have a great career doing that, until somebody better comes along, or somebody different comes along, or they get sick of it.
I do love that. My clients love me. It's the go-to place of many a train wreck of sales. Is that my clients love me. This is something I've come across. When salespeople sell, it's because they're a genius salesperson. When they don't sell, it's because the customer's an idiot.
Again, arrogant, right? A bit of arrogance there.
And because again, we're getting back to the original title. That if it's clearly obvious that it's going to be the greatest thing for them and absolutely bang on, and they still didn't buy, well, the customer's clearly an idiot, right? It's but we always talk in Sandler about, where did the car wreck?
Yes.
Did it wreck when the metal crunched, or did it wreck before, when you didn't turn the steering wheel, or when the corner came up, or didn't get your brakes serviced, or got distracted on the phone? Where did the car really wreck? It isn't where the metal hits the tree. It's somewhere before. And I was talking yesterday to Adrian Hyde. You know Adrian Hyde?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, driver risk management.
Driver risk management, and he was talking about drivers, slightly going off tangent. 95% of road traffic incidents are avoidable.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is why they've changed the name from accidents to incidents, because accidents implies that it was not preventable, whereas incident, it absolutely is preventable through better planning. 100%.
Yeah, and only 5% is unavoidable, or outside of your control. And I'm not entirely sure if that's the case either. If it's that, or I had a tire blow on me, and I knew that bugger needed some air in it.
Mm,
But I just forgot. The world got in the way. But
yeah.
yeah, yeah, my clients absolutely love me. I make the difference in the world. Me, 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 me. And it's a step up from pill pusher because it is, as they say, I hate you, customer focused, sort
Yeah.
of.
Yeah, sort of.
So what sort of? What's the next one?
Guru. Now this is the next level up. This is where actually you park your own ego as a salesperson. You lose the arrogance a little bit, and you make
Ah.
the customer. And this sounds a little bit like I'm being a bit sort of almost corporate in this, but you make them the hero, and what you're really doing is helping them to self-discover the best ways in order to be the hero in their own story, and that means to be the person who's genuinely going to benefit from your product or service. And that means asking some really, really nuanced questions. And actually, dare I say, listening to the bloody answer. So not listening to reply, but listening to understand. And I'm not just talking about understanding it intellectually. I'm talking about understanding it at a deeper level. Like what is the personal, emotional, financial impact of not using your product or service? Does that really matter to them? And if it does really matter to them, and you find out that it really matters to them, well, now we have a moral duty to help them to get to the solution. And obviously, they've got a moral duty to pay you at a level that is commensurate with the value you're now bringing. But that's good because you've established real value. But real value is something that comes in at a base level to them, not you. You can't insert that into their world. That's just, like I say, that's bloody arrogant.
I do like what you said there is work with them so they can self-discover that this makes sense, because as we said right at the beginning, sales has got this connotation, I've got stuff, I want you to buy it. And actually it's all about a journey of discovery for change. We are agents of change in sales. But the only person who can make the final decision to buy is the prospect, right? And they have to work out how to change, work out if it makes sense to change, and we can't tell them anything. They have to discover it by the conversations that we have. So it shouldn't be called a sales event or selling. It should be called a conversation. And we went to an exhibition. Well, we was at an exhibition, and again, I've got a BME bonnet about the name exhibition. Because it shouldn't really be an exhibition; it should be a conversation. Exhibition is all hoo-hoo. It's creepy.
You get arrested for being an exhibitionist, don't you?
Yes, yes. I mean, it's a conversation, and it's an opportunity to have conversations. It's one of the fastest ways to get new clients if you do it right, or new prospects. They're not clients there. So when we go back to why aren't you selling more stuff, and we talk about the 3 types of sales, and hand on heart, I've been in all 3.
Likewise.
And if I look back at my career, probably it starts off with basic rudimentary pill pusher, and then as I learn a little bit about it, it's more the my clients love me. My clients love me for their reasons, not mine.
Yeah.
And getting to the guru part, that's you can't bestow that on yourself, can you?
No.
It's like these accolades, someone else. If someone else bestows it on you, it applies. If you bestow it on yourself, it doesn't.
Absolutely.
Because you see this, don't you? You see this in these social media. Rainmaker, I make rain. I just have to look out the window. There's frigging rain.
Absolutely. Just be so it'll be there every day.
Yeah. So you can't bestow it on yourself. But so tell me, what sort of things should we do in sales to be an agent of change, to work with the prospect to self-discover that this change absolutely makes sense, which makes them an agent of change in their organization. What sort of things can we do to go hand in hand on that journey to give the best value to our prospects?
I think that's a really, really good question. There's a lot of deep answers to that, but let's just split it very, very.
We've only got a quarter of an hour. Let's just take.
It's
Yeah.
super simple. Let's split it into 3 areas: behaviors, attitudes, and techniques, which is a standard Sandler thing to do. Because if you want to be successful at anything, then you need the perfect confluence of the mindset, the attitudinal stuff, the behaviors, so the habitual and process-driven stuff, and the technical competencies, the basic skills, the techniques that you need in order to be successful at that particular thing. So in this case,
Okay. Well, let's start with the attitudes then, because I think we both believe that attitude, the correct attitude, is important here.
absolutely.
And I think if we have the wrong attitude, and this is where we talk about things like whose problem's the biggest in this conversation, right?
Yes.
What are the big attitudes that we need in order for us to be an agent of change that gets them to define what the change, so they believe what they're going to do? What sort of attitude should we have?
Okay.
Healthy attitudes, I guess.
With 3 healthy attitudes here, and there's more, but let's go with 3. So the first thing is absolute conviction. Absolute conviction in what it is that you do, and what it is that you and the value that you bring to some people if they are your client. The second thing
But
is,
hang on a second before you go into that. I really like that, but I don't want to brush over that word. To some people,
yes,
not everyone.
critical, which speaks to the second one, which is the attitude is seek the truth, not the sale. Because the truth might well be that actually the person you're talking to isn't a potential client. 8 billion people on the planet, not every single one of them is going to buy your stuff. Not every single one of them needs it. So it's having that mentality of walk away presence that actually it might not be right for them.
I love that. And so if you're watching this, our listener, watcher, I think you should write this one down. Seek the truth, not the sale. Have a walk away presence. I'm writing that one down myself. And I think that should be, it's certainly a mantra within Sandler. It's our mantra. Seek the truth, not the sale, because from the truth, great things happen.
Absolutely. And then that leads into the third thing, which is for me the most important one, which is genuine empathy. And this empathy comes at 3 levels, which I'm sure we'll unpack in a second. But genuine empathy is your attitude.
And I like empathy because sometimes we can, and we talk about this a lot in the mastery sessions. This between empathy and sympathy. I sympathize with your problem. Doesn't help him at all. No help at all. But tell us about, you talked about 3 levels of genuine empathy. And again, I think it's just one of those words. Describe to me what empathy is. Help me understand. Talking to a Stokey-based engineer who got to O-level English and just scraped by. What does empathy mean?
Well, let's put it into the basic 3 levels and then unpack it a little bit. So the 3 levels are cognitive, affective. That's affective with an A, not an E, and then compassionate. So let's tell you what those 3 things are. Cognitive is mental. So it's I know how you feel. I understand how you feel. I get it at a certain level. So baseline level for empathy is I get it. I get how you feel. I understand it. The second level is affective. Now, affective with an A means emotional. So this is now I feel how you feel. I'm actually not just I understand it, but actually it gets me here. I genuinely get it. I really feel it. I'm feeling with you. And that's the difference really between empathy and sympathy. It's the difference between I feel for you and I feel with you. And this is more I feel. Yeah.
I feel with you. I'm making a note of that. I feel with you. I love that. Yeah.
And then the final bit is the compassionate level, which is actually I actually care about this. Not only do I understand it and not only do I feel it, but I actually care. And that means, if you'll forgive the slightly salty language, I give a shit. I want to help. I'm motivated to help you. That doesn't mean I'm going to insert my views into your world, but actually, if I can, I want to help you. And that's the 3 levels of empathy. And you can't fake it. It's genuine. It's genuine. And that's why this for me is the most important part of the mindset for real transformational trusted advisor selling, where actually what you're doing is you are a genuine agent of change, because it comes with a certain level of trustworthiness. People buy into you because they trust you. But the flip side of that is you've got to be trustworthy. And the only way you can be trustworthy is by genuinely having those 3 levels of empathy.
And that's lovely. So I've got here the attitudes, convictions, seek the truth, genuine empathy, and I love the whole genuine empathy bit. If you don't have those things, if you don't have those attitudes, what does that mean?
That's a
hard question.
It's a really interesting question, and honestly, it depends on the individual. Very often, what you'll find is that in order to show up in this way, it takes a lot of yourself. You have to be quite vulnerable, because you can't trust as a two-way street. You kind of can't have somebody else open up to you unless you open up to them a little bit, which means that you're going in with your soft underbelly exposed. So very often, not always, but very often, the answer to your question is really something you can only work out on a one-to-one with somebody. And you have to work with that salesperson in order to say, okay, what is it that's the barrier for you psychologically? I mean, because this is uncomfortable. This is, if you're doing this right, it shouldn't be comfortable. It should be something where actually you are really being very open to a genuine human connection. And this is not something that's just right, okay, I've got the catalogue. I know what my prices are. I know what my products are. Yeah, you need to know all that stuff. But actually to forge a real connection with somebody, this is a human skill. And actually, you don't get taught this stuff in school. You don't get taught this stuff in school. This is difficult. This is hard work, and it takes a little bit of introspection, a little bit of work on yourself, and that inward looking is not always a comfortable thing to do. So, the answer very often to your question is really about that level of self-awareness and introspection that people are prepared to do. And listen, whether you choose to use people like myself and Roy, or you choose to go your own route on this stuff, the one thing I would urge you to do is do that work on yourself. Look in the ugly mirror and look at the truth and go, okay, I think I can see where my problem is, and it's actually the bit that I see every time I shave, or every time I put on my makeup, or whatever your morning routine is. It's very often the person in the mirror.
I love that, and that's a big part. That's taken up a lot of our time. Let's talk about some behaviours.
Sure.
Some behaviours that we've got. And behaviors are things that we do, and again, it's in our control. Attitude is the mindset, how we approach these things. But what sort of behaviors, in order to help people self-discover, should we have?
So behaviorally, I mean, you're looking at a number of different things here, and typically I'm going to be talking about following a process and making that process somewhat habitual. Now, I want to be really careful here, because when I say the word process, a lot of people who are listening might well be thinking straight away, well, hang on, you've just talked about empathy and psychology and all that kind of thing. Well, that's great, but empathy without process is fluffy. Process without empathy is bureaucratic. You need to have both. Okay, so the process means you're doing in the right order, you're doing them consistently, and we haven't got time today to talk about what that process looks like, but very, very simplistically, you want to start with building a level of trust through some of the through some of the ways in which you would approach this kind of thing. You want to set expectations very, very clearly up front. So you want to have a really good management of expectations through something that we call the upfront contract. You then want to move into a series of questions which are designed to actually yield the right sorts of information coming back, and not just information, but also insight. So the hidden truths in what people are saying. You want to work out whether or not this is a relevant investment for somebody. An investment is different to a cost to them. because a cost tends to add to somebody's pain, whereas an investment takes it away. You want to move through and work out, what the structure of their organization looks like. Are they set up in such a way that they're able to make a sensible decision in a timely fashion, or are they actually set up in such a way that their organization itself is set up to self-sabotage? Because that happens. That happens a lot.
It does.
Again, the point about process sometimes becoming bureaucratic and becoming a set of handcuffs rather than handrails to guide you. Yeah,
I love that. Handcuffs instead of handrails. Certainly, when you're talking, and we sort of mixed it up there, some of the behaviors, some of the techniques. And I think the basic rule is, I love the Sandler rule. It's a 70-30 rule. Your prospect should be talking 70% of the time, and you should be talking 30% of the time. And when you're talking, if your mouth is open and you're not asking great questions, you cannot get to that getting the truth, and genuine empathy. We are running short of time there. So why don't you? So let's if we're let's get to a little bit of a sort of conclusion. I mean, not the conclusion, because it's a huge subject. Why aren't you selling more stuff when your stuff is life-changing and can really improve a person's or a company's position? What do we get from what we've talked about today, Matthew?
If I had to summarize it in a nutshell, you're probably talking to the wrong part of your prospect's brain at the wrong time. Because ultimately, you've got to be able to talk to them at an emotional, personal level about the impacts on their lives, personally, emotionally, financially, if they don't have your stuff. And if you're not talking to their hearts before you try talking to their minds, then you're on a hiding to nothing. Emotion, intuition, and instinct underpin every decision, including all of our buying decisions. We might well have intellectual justification for those decisions afterwards, and that sort of bit around the gains side of things, what it actually gains me, and the intellectual justification for it might well be the reason that somebody puts the big tick in the budget box, but the real reason, the real motivation behind it was always emotional. And if you haven't spent the time to talk to the right part of the prospect's brain at the right time, you ain't going to sell anything.
I love that, because we're still basically cavemen, despite everything that we've got. I'm happy as Larry in my man cave, but I think beautifully put. Talking to the wrong part of the prospect's brain, because if it's obvious they should be dealing with you, if you are the best at what you do, you are the best where you are, and you're not selling enough stuff, I think a lot of the time we say you talk to the wrong part of the prospect's brain. We've got stuff and we want you to have it. Can I put an advert in?
Why not? Go for it.
So you want to know more about this sort of stuff? On the 4th of November at Staffordshire University, the great people of Staffordshire University have sponsored a sales training day where we talk about this. I shall be running it. It's between 9:30 and 4 o'clock on the Friday, day before bonfire night. I'd like to see you there. There are places left. We've only got about a week and a half, and it costs you nothing. Staffordshire University are picking up your tab on this one. So it's like a free round, right? And Staffordshire University are paying for it. So come along. We'll be there. We'll be talking about your sales challenges. We'll be talking about why you're not selling, which part of the prospect's brain you have to talk about to sell more. And I'm looking to rock your world.
So can I ask you a question, Roy?
Yes, you can, sir.
What sorts of things would somebody who's going to really benefit from investing their time in that day, what sorts of things might they be feeling, seeing, hearing in their life right now that would actually say, this would be a good investment of my time?
Yeah, they're going to say, we haven't got an orderly queue of people outside the building wanting to buy our stuff. And so we're going to have to go prospecting, and we don't know how to prospect. We don't know how to prospect effectively, or we don't know what to say when we do prospect. So we talk about prospecting. We talk about having the conversations to seek the truth with prospects. That helps us define, should we continue the conversation, qualification, or should we discontinue disqualification. We talk about those sorts of challenges, so we don't waste time with the ones who are never going to buy. And then we look at maintaining margin. How do we quantify value so we don't have to give away our profit, which means we can invest back in our business to be a better organization, get the best equipment, get the best people, and grow effectively? So we're talking about business growth at a very high level. Did that work, Matthew?
Yeah, brilliant. So basically, in summary, if you're frustrated with the fact that you're not selling enough, if you're struggling to actually close enough deals, or if you're just generally getting pissed off with the fact that people do not see your value proposition, despite the fact that it's really blindingly obvious to you, this is a day for you.
And it should be fun. Probably get a bit inappropriate. But it should be a laugh, and yeah, we like a bit of fun. We want to send you out with some real value, and Staffordshire University are picking up the tab on this one, so we'd love to see you. Matthew, thank you very much. If you want to contact Matthew, and he's a smart one, what's your phone number, Matthew?
It is 07715 269 724, or you can email me on mdh@sandler.com. How can they get in touch with you, Roy?
So my number is 07 867 525 868, 07 867 525 868. And my email address, really simple, roy.johnson@sandler.com. And we will see you next week for next week's Tuesday Chew. So it's goodbye from him.
And it's also goodbye from him.
Goodbye, everyone. See ya.